call, you say free them all. What's the call? What's the call? What's the call? All right, on the move. And welcome to a celebration of the 20th anniversary of the Jericho movement. I am one of your co-hosts this evening. My name is Ori Lumumba, longtime MOVE supporter, longtime advocate of political prisoners.
And my name is Gail Walker, and I'm the director of Difficult Pastors for Peace, longtime friend of our political prisoner movement, blessed to have been a fiscal sponsor for a variety of our organizations that have been on the forefront of supporting the fight to free our political prisoners. Welcome.
Welcome. Let's try this one more time. What's the call?
Free them all.
What's the call?
Free them all.
All right, we're going to move this along here. Again, it's a celebration of the 20th anniversary of the Jericho movement. We have a great program, great speakers. We're going to cover a lot tonight as we push further in the efforts and the fight to free all our U.S.-held political prisoners and prisoners of war and political prisoners internationally as well. On the move.
All right, we're going to, as my brother Ori said, we're going to keep things moving. We're going to ask first for our dear friend Luis Barrios to come forward. Luis, as many of you know, has been on the forefront of countless struggles. I'm blessed to have my brother Luis serve as the president of the board of IFCO. He has been obviously at the forefront of really opening the doors of this church for a variety of different programs, and we're just honored to ask Luis Barrios to come forward and give a word of welcome.
Aguanta ahí. Aguanta hasta que yo te diga. Good evening. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. You already say hello to the person next to you? Say hello and smile and tell that person, I'm so happy that you are here. I'm so happy that you are here. I'm so happy that you are here. Okay, so you know that, well, this is the church. We're going to Holyrood Church, like I said, Santa Cruz. We have the bad habit that we like to pray. So if you don't like to pray, you're going to pray. Stand. And this is a very good prayer that God and everybody else is going to listen. Put your hand like this. Ponga la mano así. And this is how we're going to pray. All the power to the people.
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 Now we're going to continue saying that, but you have to smile. Smile. You see how Mia is smiling in that photo? That's right. That's a victory smile. You know the meaning of that? Don't fuck with me. Okay? All the power to the people.
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 You see, now you have to say that you were here and you were great. Sit down. So it's good to have you here. It's good to come here so we can listen to our bishop, Oscar López. We just declare his bishop. It's more than a priest, it's more than a pastor. He's the bishop, okay? So we're so happy to have him here, very happy to have you here. Let me tell you, this is a church that we say that we declare the church a sanctuary. It's a liberating space. And one that we went into a civil disobedience, challenging the government, especially all this policy that Bush is implementing, but they approved by Obama. So look, don't get confused, okay? So it's some kind of things that they like to do because they respond to the ruling class in this country. So we were forced by this young woman here and her 3 children to open the door. She's been living here inside this church because she got a deportation order. And we say we're not going to allow this to happen. So very good opportunity because we're talking about prisoners or ex-prisoner. If you this is a 5-star hotel living here, then you talk to this woman because she's pissed off, she's frustrated, she's traumatized, been here for 8 months, not living in the street the way it's supposed to be, not having the opportunity to spend quality time with your children outside. So my brothers and sisters, mis hermanas y hermanos, I introduce you to Amanda Morales.
Muy buenas noches, ya algunos me conocen, mi nombre es Amanda Morales,
My name is Amanda Morales.
tengo casi 8 meses de estar acá
I've been here more or less 8 months.
y agradecida con, estoy agradecida
Very pleased. The church was
y a la acción del nuevo movimiento santuario,
and the new sanctuary movement.
muy agradecida que ellos me acogieron, me abrieron la puerta de las puertas de niños.
I'm so grateful that the church opened the door so I can be here, living here with my children.
Bueno, como ajá. Bueno, no ha sido nada fácil para mí estar aquí con mis niños.
It's not been easy just to be here with my children.
Es como estar uno preso
It's like being in prison.
porque no puedo salir afuera
I can't go outside,
a respirar aire.
at least to breathe some air.
Aquí he pasado todos los momentos con las niñas.
I've been spending a lot of time here with my 2 daughters and my son.
Aquí hemos pasado nuestros cumpleaños,
We've been celebrating birthdays,
la Navidad, todas las fiestas que
Christmas,
vinieron.
all the holidays.
Pero aquí luchando por mis hijos y por todas las personas que están en mi misma situación.
But we've been struggling not only for my children but also those people who are in the same situation that I am.
Pero aquí luchando y gracias a todas las personas que están conmigo, que me están acompañando.
So thank you for those of you who are walking with me in this struggle.
Muchísimas gracias. Feliz
Thank you very
noche.
much and good evening. Well, my brothers and sisters, welcome to Holyrood Church. This is the church that if you believe in God, you are welcome. If you do not believe in God, you're also welcome. What we expecting is that you make sense practicing justice. So welcome to this moment of finding a way to practice justice. Thanks.
All right. Is Zaid Muhammad here? Brother Baba Zaid? Oh, he said he was on his way. We going to have to move this along. We'll hopefully catch up with our brother, but we want to talk about some victories in the past 20 years that we've seen since the implementation of Jericho on March 27th, 1998. And we have to talk about some losses as well. You know, one of our founders, we're going to see a video with her later, but we have to take a moment and acknowledge our sister Safia Bakari.
That's right.
All right. We have to acknowledge Baba Herman Ferguson as well. We've seen some great victories in the past 20 years. The release in 1999 of our comrades from the FALN and the Macheteros who came home. Recently, the release of our brother Oscar López Rivera, who came home. A people's victory. The Cuban Five. That's right. Brother Maliki Shakur Latin, who came home. Marilyn Buck. Susan Rosenberg. Laura Whitehorn. Now, I can't remember all of the names, but we had several anarchist political prisoners that came home as well. Now, put it together. These brothers and sisters fought too. We're not discriminating in this movement, all right? We about freeing all political prisoners, all right? Our sister Lynn Stewart.
Can you hear this better than you can hear that?
Our sister Lynn Stewart. Sekou Odinga. Marshall Eddie Conway. So we had some people's victories, but we still got work to do. We got people to bring home. But we have to acknowledge some of our freedom fighters that we lost behind the walls in the past 20 years, like Brother Mando Langa, Richard Williams, Albert Noah Washington, Phil Africa, Merle Africa, Abdulmumit, Bashir Hamid, Hugo Pinnell. All right, don't get mad for everybody, but you know, we got work to do. We still got to bring people home. So like I said, we've had some losses, but we had some tremendous victories as well. And we have to use these tremendous victories to encourage us to keep working and never give up. Because it's the demand of the public that brought Oscar home. It's the demand of the public that brought the FALN home. The demand of the public that brought Brother Maroon out of solitary, that took Mumia off of death row. That's going to continue to bring our freedom fighters home. So we're going to do this, y'all, all right? We're still waiting for Brother Zaid, but we're going to move it along. My beautiful co-host and co-MC, she's going to come back up in a minute, but I just want to give a personal acknowledgement to two of the most strongest, hard-working, consistent sisters that I've ever seen that's been doing this work in Jericho for so many years. Our sister Paulette. Right. I remember in 1998, I did my first visit to a prison at Lewisburg. Just the process, I was so nervous of everything. I was going to visit one of our speakers, and I'm in the visiting room, and this woman just smiling at me. I'm already nervous. I'm like, well, who was? Then I realized it was Paulette. She knew I was going, and to make the transition easier, she came too, and she pulled out Larry Giddens for the visit. So we got to meet another one of our released political prisoners, Larry Giddens, that day as well. But I just want to acknowledge this sister about the work she does, how she travels. She goes from prison to prison. One time, she was just working overtime in the school during the holidays so that she could send commissary money to our political prisoners. So we just want to acknowledge this sister and all the hard work she does. And I want to acknowledge my sister over there, my partner in crime. Me and her been up and down the road, up in these prisons, doing all we can do. She's in the back, but we gotta acknowledge one of the hardest workers on the face of this earth in the political prisoner movement, our sister Ann Lamb. Gail, you ready? Yep. So moving right along, my co-MC and co-host, she's coming back. Gail,
right. Well, we just want to thank again, Father Luis Barrios for opening the doors. It was wonderful hearing from our sister Amanda, because as Luis said, you know, as we talk about political prisoners, you know, she's a prisoner of war right here in New York City, right here behind the doors of this church. And we can't forget her. We need to remember our sister Amanda and provide support to all of those who have been imprisoned as a result of the backward and archaic policies of this government. We are now going to hear, I guess we're introducing the video, right? So we've got a video, the Jericho 98 video, where we will be hearing from two of our just tremendous, sisters and brothers in this struggle, Sophia Bakari and Herman Bell. Ferguson, I apologize, Herman Ferguson, but who have been really at the forefront of the movement of Jericho, but also really putting forward the fight for our political prisoners. So without further ado, we'll have this video.
You're encouraged to go on from Jericho to create a new Jerusalem. And if you haven't heard the statement, get a copy of the Jericho Movement newspaper, and the statement's in there. A metaphor to go on from Jericho to build a new Jerusalem. A metaphor I take to mean leave Jericho today a reality. 18 months ago, the Provisional Government Republic of New Africa and the New African Liberation Front began this process that has brought us here today. During the course of the last 18 months, we reached out to groups and formations all across the country and around the world to support us in this campaign, to come together to build a movement to demand recognition and amnesty for our political prisoners. We reached out to the National Committee to free Puerto Rican prisoners of war, the International Conference Families and Friends of Amir Abu Jamal, the National Conference of Black Lawyers, Refuse and Resist, the Not on the Guest List Coalition, Asians from Amir, the Leonard Peltier Defense Committee, Interfaith Prisoners of Conscience Project, MOVE, the Anarchist Black Cross Network, and other organizations from all across the country and other ethnic persuasions. We reached out to all the defense committees for political prisoners and to put out a call to all the revolutionaries and activist organizations. We did this because we knew that this time we had to put aside our differences and come together, as Malcolm said, on the basis of what we had in common. Sexist, colonialist, imperialist, capitalist system of the United States of America. A system that promotes and supports police brutality and murder of people of color and of other oppressed people. A system that promotes property value over human lives and dignity. A system that promotes the dollar profit over the rights of the people to decent housing, education, and employment. A system that utilizes racism as a tool to keep us divided and fighting amongst ourselves, and as a means of justifying the continued inhuman acts perpetrated against people of African descent in this country. struggle is against the enemy that perpetuates these evils. Our common struggle is against the enemy that utilizes a propaganda war to criminalize our struggles, to demonize us, to make the world believe that our struggles are not just struggles, and the captured combatants, the freedom fighters, the captured comrades are not political prisoners, but criminals. Jericho 98 is designed to take away the United States' ability to define our struggle for us, but by denying our political prisoners exist inside the prisons and jails of the United States. With the show of force in numbers here today, we're saying to the government of the United States, we will no longer be silent while you hold our political prisoners within your prisons. Some of them have been in your prisons for over 30 years, while we have allowed you to take away your denial of their existence, to get away with your denial of their existence, and your criminalization of our struggle, and the murder of political prisoners like Ahmed Evans, Bobby Garcia, George Jackson, and Merle Austin Africa. We're serving notice that the silence ends today. 30 years is 29 years and 364 days too long. But by our presence here today, we're saying to the government of the United States, we are well aware that you've gotten away with it this long, because we didn't hold up our end of the struggle. But we are making a new commitment to our political prisoners and to the struggle. We're making a new commitment to support our political prisoners and prisoners of war. The form that the support for our political prisoners and prisoners of war will take has to be on many different levels. I don't want to just talk on a philosophical level or throw angry words at the White House, but I want to get down and dirty and factual right here. This Jericho March is not just a feel-good session. When we leave this place today, we have to go back to our various cities and states and begin to do the real hard day-to-day work of making Jericho a reality. We talked about educating our communities and the world to the existence of political prisoners and prisoners of war in the United States. Over the last 18 months, we've been doing that, and we've done a monumental job so far, but the work has to continue. We cannot let the education campaign that we've begun stop. We have to step up the pace. We still have a job to do in this area. We talked about putting a face on the political prisoners, who in many cases do not and have not been receiving visits, who are spending years in isolation, does not have commissary, etc., and have been cut off from their families and friends. We have to make contact and make sure that they receive these basic needs that let them know that they are not alone and forgotten. These are our freedom fighters, and it's up to us to take care of them. We talk about recognition as political prisoners and prisoners of war. The United States of America continues to deny the existence of these political prisoners and prisoners of war. We have to continue this struggle for recognition into the international arena, as Geronimo has said. We have to continue to raise the issue. We have to put together an organized force whose work for the next year will be to work in the various international arenas, pushing the fact that political prisoners exist in this country. We have to make it so that every time the United States government raises the issue of human rights violations and the treatment of dissenters anywhere in the world and calls for the release of political prisoners, they are met by the question, what about the political prisoners in your jail, America? We talked about amnesty for our political prisoners. Well, amnesty is not going to be won in one day with one march. We have to work to make this amnesty campaign real. We have to be in it for the long haul. When we go back to wherever we came from, we have to continue to work for recognition and amnesty for our political prisoners. Over and over again, the political prisoners have said that for the first time in forever, they can see a glimmer of light at the end of a tunnel, because we have begun to understand that support for our political prisoners are an integral part of the struggle. That a movement that doesn't support its captured combatants, its freedom fighters, its political prisoners, and prisoners of war is a sham movement. Finally, we talked about the conditions of confinement of our political prisoners and prisoners of war. Without lawyers to intervene in how the state subjects them to cruel and inhuman punishment, i.e., for example, the recent designation of no human contact aside to say Quisqueya, or the inadequate medical care that political prisoners across the board like Oscar López, Rivera, Marilyn Buck, Matulu Shakur, Bashir Ahmed, and many, many others are facing daily without lawyers to challenge their convictions, their limited sentences, and the conditions of their confinement. Our political prisoners are left at the mercy of our enemy. We have to put together the resources, both human and financial, to deal with supplying lawyers for our political prisoners. Right. So what exactly are we saying? Jericho, over the next year and longer, will address the issues of, one, recognition for our political prisoners and prisoners of war. We want you to go back to your communities and either join with the work of your local Jericho organizing committee, and if one does not exist, create one to educate people in your area about political prisoners. Two, visit, send commissary to, and otherwise support political prisoners. We want you to either adopt a political prisoner or support other efforts to give material aid to our political prisoners in the form of visits, either assisting the families to visits or making sure that their basic needs are met. Three, amnesty for political prisoners. We need to continue to press the amnesty question in all the different arenas. Jericho has to continue to push this issue. Over the next year, the Jericho organizing committees and the organizations who have endorsed the work of Jericho must be prepared to follow through. The attorneys that have been assigned to do this work in conjunction with the organizing committees have to perfect the strategy and move it forward. Right. Four, the National Legal Defense Fund. No matter how we approach it, without the financial component, without this financial component, we will not do justice to the issue of support for our political prisoners. Over the last 30 years, we have gone through an enormous amount of money, and we have not moved any closer to freedom for the vast majority of our political prisoners. We need to form a National Legal Defense Fund for our political prisoners and prisoners of war. To do this, we need to keep up the fundraising to build this fund. We need to build this fund so that we can get lawyers on the case and on the scene as soon as they're needed. Oftentimes, delay in making legal assistance available means the difference in life and death for our political prisoners. We also need to organize and politicize students coming out of law schools to take up this issue. Building a cadre of lawyers we can trust and depend on to advocate on behalf of our political prisoners. Our new commitment to our political prisoners has to be rooted in concrete work on their behalf. These political prisoners didn't come out of a vacuum, but out of our struggles for freedom, independence, and self-determination. These struggles have not been won and continue. Therefore, the probability of new political prisoners remain. Our reaffirming our commitment to our political prisoners through building this Jericho movement institutionalizes our political prisoners, the support for our political prisoners. If we are to be victorious in our struggles, we have to begin to approach our struggle in a more professional manner and not the hit and miss way we have done in the past. We have served notice on the seat of government of the United States today that we will no longer allow the silence around the issue of political prisoners to continue. Now we have to go back and show by our actions that we are prepared to do just what it takes to make the dismantling of the walls of Jericho a reality. Joshua had determination and dedication it took to keep attacking the walls of Jericho until they fell. It took Joshua marching around those walls 7 times. We must be of no less determination and dedication to winning recognition and amnesty for our political prisoners. Remember Merle Austin, Africa? Free all political prisoners and prisoners of war and build Jericho.
We are here in our numbers, and we are pleased to see that so many of you responded to the call. You know why we're here. We're here because of the plight of our political prisoners and prisoners of war. And Jericho was designed to address that issue. Jericho is important because the United States government has for decades been able to avoid that issue by saying they have no political prisoners. And as a result of that, they're able to go around the world pointing the finger of accusation at other countries like China, like Iraq, Iran, Libya, North Korea, Cuba, and say you have political prisoners and that you are not part of a democratic society. Well, now, for the benefit of the United States government, Castro has released many of his political prisoners. Political prisoners have been released in other countries. Why can't you do it here? Now, for those of you who don't know how Jericho originated, let me tell you exactly how it originated. Several years ago, the Republic of New Africa, annually on the date of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which brought the Republic of New Africa into existence in March of 1968, to commemorate that event, they began to have Jericho marches. And they had these marches up until 1993. That was the last march, but not on such a scale as this one today. A political prisoner who is behind the walls, Jalil Montequin. Remember this name, Jalil Montequin was the one who came up with the idea of starting up the Jericho again, but this time focusing on political prisoners, demanding recognition and amnesty for those political prisoners. He called for me and he called for Safia Bakari to come visit him, and in the prison visiting room, we ironed out the details of how we were going to get started. And we started putting the word out. We got in touch with groups of you that were already in existence. Those of you who had already support groups for various political prisoners, like Leonard Peltier, like Sundiata Akoli, like Mumia Abu Jabal. And we called on these groups to help us motivate, mobilize, and educate the masses of people so they would join us here in a Jericho to gain recognition for political prisoners and amnesty for them. You have responded in large numbers. We're pleased to see that you're here. And we do not make any distinction. We say that all of the political prisoners have to be supported. We have to make sure that we understand that and that we mean that. Because if we start separating according to race, gender, or whatever else, then the enemy will be able to expand on that crack and develop a schism between us.
Founders of Jericho. These comments couldn't be more, really on point today than they were back in 1998. So we're grateful that to have had the opportunity to have this archival footage. Can you all hear me in the back? Yes. All right, we're going to ask everyone that comes forward to please speak directly into the mic. Just use your big voices, because we want to make sure that everyone can hear. The other thing I want to say is that this is a beautiful house of worship. The acoustics are quite something iffy, according to my sound engineer friend. My point is that if you're having side conversations, to keep them to a minimum, because it really makes it difficult for us all to hear, okay? So I want to now introduce a very special next guest. The next voice you will hear will be that of Jihad Abdulmumit, who is the can you hear this? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. All right. Is Jihad in the house here? Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. I should always know. He's always here, always present. We're just so excited to have our brother here, who is the co-chair of the Jericho National Jericho, but also somebody who served time with our brother Oscar. There's many ways in which this whole evening's presentation is really being pulled together. So we're grateful to have Oscar, but we're grateful to have Brother Jihad please come forward and drop some wisdom on us.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. My name is Jihad Abdulmumit. I'm the chair of the National Jericho Movement, and I'm honored to be before you right now. I salute all my comrades out here that have been incarcerated with me. My dear friend Oscar, my Black Liberation Army brothers, my Black Panther brothers, my anti-imperialist brothers, my dear sisters, all of you. I represent that. Get a good look. Just want to say some good words about this celebration for Jericho. 20 years is a long time in this environment. It's not like 20 years in the 60s and the 70s. It's 20 years oftentimes in an environment where we lack movement activity, where the level of consciousness of our own communities is not up to speed, where we may not find that support from the people that we represent. There's oftentimes in a climate when we educate communities that we find ourselves almost begging and pleading for current activists today to pick up a damn history book and read it. Because the reality is this: one of the most profound connections we have with our rich revolutionary history in this country, and indeed around the world, is you giving direct support for political prisoners. That is the connection. That is the live connection with those warriors, those soldiers who fought for our quote-unquote freedoms that we may enjoy today, putting pressure on the slave master to release the slave. You do realize that every last human rights issue, from slavery to anti-lynching, to getting our dignity as so-called citizens, the right to vote, women's rights, any rights, water rights, land rights, school rights, education, whatever you can name, has always been met with staunch resistance from the status quo. From the status quo, those that wear those pinstripe suits and call themselves senators and congressmen and your local assemblymen. Is always scratching their ass wondering what's going on. In one way, fashion, or form, and we see that now more clearly than ever. A lot of things has changed over the 20 years since the initiation of Jericho. But you know what the saying goes, the more things change, the more things change, and oppression is still oppression. Repression is still repression. Police brutality is still police brutality, and the pigs are still the pigs. Jericho does a lot of work. And I salute every last Jericho member in here. You can raise your hand so people can see who you are, where you are, past and present. We deal with a lot of things. We deal with the medical issues of our aging warriors in prison. We all got gray. And the medical issues are becoming more and more frequent. We have a medical committee. And if there's any other organization seeking to start that, I would say this: rather than reinvent the wheel, that you enjoy the initiatives that we're giving, because that fragmentation, we don't want you scratching your ass neither. Talking about how we're going to do this when it's already trying to be done. No, we got to quit playing with ourselves, because the truth of the matter is, we don't have the unity that some of our freedom fighters in prison think we have. You're bullshit. Do we really?
No.
No, we don't.
Take it back.
No, we don't. No, we don't, man.
No, we don't.
We're going up against one of the strongest powers in world history. And sometimes we take for granted our own selves, our table talk, our over-the-kitchen talk about revolution and struggle. Click, clap, they got you in the crosshairs. We're on the pay me no mind list.
All right.
Don't stroke yourself too much. I stopped playing myself long ago. Like Brother Nkrumah said, Kwame Nkrumah, tell no lies, claim no easy victories. Tell no lies, claim no easy victories. Tell no lies, claim no easy victories.
All right.
For us that know, for those of us that know, those of us that have been in prison to know. Decade after decade, what is it like to be 46 years in prison? Anybody know that? I see some long timers in here. Oscar, comrade of mine, just walked. Stood up, got gray in their hair. Let me tell you something. I joined the Black Panther Party when I was 16 years old. Did 23 years, 22 and a half years in prison. My attorney's here, Sophia's in here somewhere. We expropriated money, funds from banks to build a nation that the Republic of New Africa and Jericho, the Black Panther Party, and so many organizations talked about down south. Talked about South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. You know, we couldn't get that from having bake sales. I guess you know that, right? But this notion of statehood has changed. It has changed, or I should say it's evaporated, because of the assimilation through society that we live. And that's just the reality. It's like a mudslide coming down a hill. It's hard to stop, because this is the psychic and the conscious of the people are there. The assimilation is there. Black president last 2 terms. Things that Malcolm talked about, they won't even let you near the base. Well, that's not true anymore. Plenty of Uncle Toms near the base.
Amen.
That analogy doesn't fly. Take it to the United Nations where they had the Human Rights Council right there readily accessible. That's not readily accessible to you and I no more.
Right on.
What El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz talked about in the early 60s is not readily accessible to us anymore. It's not as potent as it posed itself to be back then. And it's something the United States doesn't even recognize. They don't even pay their dues. But we're going to try to utilize this international effort, Jericho, one of the initiatives that we have, proposed by Abdulmumit, our freedom fighter, one of the co-founders of the Jericho movement, and we're inviting all of y'all to partake of that and information in your journal about it. So we're going to try to, again, repackage, because it's not a new strategy. Repackage and get our issues on the international stage. We offer every one of y'all to be a part of that initiative. Other organizations, if we don't collaborate directly, The leaders of your organization don't speak to us directly. If we don't speak to us, we're faking. If it's all about self-aggrandizement, you're faking. You can go tell somebody what a good job you're doing. But this person, this government, this one that brings other nations to their knees, that every last cliche we have, we can throw out the window. Every last cliche we had, the Red Bull, all that, you can toss that out the window. Because this is a new day, requires a new analysis, and it requires us, above all, the only thing that remains constant in this whole struggle is the importance of our unity. Do we have unity?
No.
Do we have unity? Then let me stand up, let me show you. Stand up. When I say I, you give your whole name. All right, when I say I, I'm going to say I, Jihad, Abdulmumit, and I'm going to go on. And when I get to that point, say I, you say your name. Run it through your own sight. Run it through your own heart. We're going to make a commitment today, right now. If you don't want to make the commitment, you sit down. And after I get down, your ass is going to be escorted out of here. Hey, look. You got that shit? It's very simple. Very simple commitment. Then I'm going to sit down in a minute. Very simple commitment, sisters and brothers. I, Jihad Abdulmumit. Some of us are long names. I, Jihad Abdulmumit, make a commitment tonight on this 20th anniversary of the National Jericho movement to work with my fellow brothers and sisters for the freedom and liberation of all political prisoners. More points to make, and actually Brother Jalil has a statement here, and I understand it's in your fold. So out of love and respect to my brother, I'm not going to read anything to you. I can fight that out with him later. I'm not going to read to you anything. You're going to hear my voice loud and clear. It's a live performance. But what he did say, some of the points I just made about the importance of our unity, and that those that know, as they said in Boys in the Hood, those that know, got to show. Those of us that know, we got to show. So whatever your capacity is in this room. Some are just coming to hear. Some of us do a lot of work, because a lot of times when you hear these type of messages, it seems like I'm lambasting people that's already doing a lot, and you're saying like, okay, man, what's going on? This is the 6 o'clock news version of what's not happening. But it's important to fill those voids and talk about that. That's not happening, so that we can bring up our own end. Just doing it just a little bit more. Writing a letter to a prisoner, sending $20, calling an organization. We got different organizations represented in here, which we're going to go through later on in the program, and honoring and saluting each and every last one of them. And we're honored to do that. Calling, emailing. You know, we're in the age of cell phone and technology, but it has not served us well. Coming through this city and selling Black Panther parties when I was 16 and 17 years old with Brother Ashanti. In Newark, New Jersey, and Plainfield, and Times Square, even coming over to New York selling paper. Yeah, New York. Well, you get lost in the crowd, you gotta find, there's nowhere, how you gonna get in contact with your comrade? You see how many people walk the streets in Times Square? But we did it. And we were 16 and 17. Who many young people in here? Who's under 20 in this room? Who's under 20 in this room? I see Pam Hanna is the only one that raised her hand. Who's under 20 in this room? Besides Pam Hanna, my beautiful sister there. Okay, not that many. Okay, what? Let me tell you something, and then I really will shut up. And Pam Hanna and Pam Africa too. They both raised their hand. I don't know what's wrong. Me too. But like I said, I would mess you up if I took my teeth out. No, they're real. But you know, many of us, when we were in the Black Panther Party, Ashanti and I, we were 16. You know, some of the older guys in West Huey Newton and all of them, they was older. We didn't have a mic. What I had was my 357 Magnum and a bottle of start off as Ripple got more serious, Wild Out. The point I'm making, aside from the humor, is look how young we were. Look how young we were. 16 and 7. Look how young we were. And the older ones in the struggle, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Al-Haj Malik El-Shabazz, both assassinated at 39 years old, but you can back it up a little bit. That's still relatively young. See, there's a lot of work to do, sisters and brothers. Jericho is not just about freeing political prisoners and building those collaborations. Those collaborations are also building a new society. And fighting against oppression and racism and gaining independence and self-determination and helping to develop a society where everybody has the opportunity to live free and healthy, good medical care. That's a revolution by any other name, of course. So I leave you as I came, turn the program back over to my wonderful sister Gail, brother Orenthal, Subhana Kalahuma, wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. And what is that is saying is that I give praise to a higher power, however we may interpret that to be for ourselves. I recognize that there's only one higher power. And this statement in Arabic saying that anything that I have said to offend anybody in this room, I beg your forgiveness. And anything that I've said to be uplifting is from my higher power. Assalamu alaikum.
Let's put it together again for the Jericho co-chair, Jihad Abdulmumit. Let's take a minute to sink in and think about what Brother Herman and Sister Safia said in that video as well. All right? The work continues, the struggle continues. We have parole coming up for several of our political prisoners this year. Brother Ruchell Sinkay McGee is coming up this year for parole. The Move Women are coming up this year for parole. Jan Laman is coming up this year for parole. Dr. Matul Shakur is coming up this year for parole. So we still got work to do, y'all. Yes. But next, in order to keep this work going, we need funding. We have to have money, to do mail-ins, to send commissaries for the political prisoners, to travel. So I want to introduce my brother and bring him up. I've known this young man here for the better part of 20 years. Another one of the most tireless, dedicated workers that we know, Brother Ben Ramos. He has some words.
All right, brothers and sisters, when I say freedom, you scream now. Now, I don't want a tired, I just ate a lot of rice and beans, I'm sleepy type of now. I need a now that's gonna shake Washington Heights. I want a now that the brothers and sisters that are incarcerated in California can hear us. So when I say freedom, you say now. Freedom! Now. Freedom! Now. Freedom! Now. Brothers and sisters, freedom is not free. Building a movement to free our political prisoners is not free. When you look around this room, you see posters and banners and flags and placards. None of that was brought to you by Kellogg. None of that was brought to you by PepsiCo or General Mills or General Motors. The National Endowment of the Arts didn't endow us with a damn thing. This is created by people's power, by people's donations, and by the donations that we Jericho movement brothers and sisters dig into our pockets every day. Brothers and sisters, there's things that happen behind the scenes that you don't see. There's money that's used to make food packets for political prisoners. There's money that's used to buy medicine and medical equipment for our brothers and sisters behind the walls. There's money that's used to finance people visiting political prisoners, paying for gasoline, paying for bus tickets. There's money that's used to support the families of our brothers and sisters behind the walls when they need our support. Brothers and sisters, I need people to be inspired, to be motivated, to think about 20 years of educating, organizing, and mobilizing to make freedom happen. And know that it was through your support that we've been able to push forward. So I need you to dig deep, just really, really deep into those pockets and take out $1 if you can, if you are able to. And if you can't right now, we will hit you up at another later date at another event. Dig deep. $1, $5, $10, a symbolic donation of $20 for our 20th anniversary. Whatever it is that you can, as those buckets come to you, as those beautiful wicker baskets make it to you, bless them and give them people's power, because Jericho takes every one of those dollars and makes freedom happen. If you want to write a check, you make it out to NYC Jericho. If you are not sure how much to put into that check, leave it blank. We will fill it out for you. If all you have is your debit card or credit card, we'll take it. We'll mail it back to you eventually. Brothers and sisters, please. This movement is not free. We need a down payment from you tonight, because our goal in Jericho is not to exist for another 20 years. We want to make ourselves as obsolete and unnecessary as quickly as possible. We have the power to make freedom happen. When do we want freedom? Now. When do we want freedom? Now. When do we want freedom? Now. It's time to pay for it. Thank you.
How y'all doing? Free them all. That wasn't loud enough. I don't believe you. You're jiving. Free them all. Free them all. Yesterday. Give me just a second. I'm gonna be with y'all.
All right, while my brother is getting himself set up. Can you hear me? Okay, in the back? All right. I just want to just throw my 2 cents in. As the daughter of a Baptist pastor, I was really impressed by Ben's pitch. I thought, you know, he did a fairly good job. But I want to just say a few more words about the work of Jericho. When you think about an organization that has been at the forefront of providing information about our political prisoners,
right on,
that has been at the forefront of making sure that there are ways in which we can provide support to our political prisoners, to send ways of sending money, ways of understanding just what the health conditions are of our brothers and sisters who are behind bars. Those that are working to try to get the United Nations and all of its faults to try to do the right thing in terms of working with the jurists to initiate a formal investigation on U.S. violations of human rights and political prisoners. So there's a variety of different kinds of work that Jericho has been at the forefront of for 20 years. This is what your help, this is what your money, that dollar, that $5, that $10, that $20, for those of you who are well endowed, more can do to help keep this work moving forward. It's been said that there are many who have benefited from the efforts of Jericho. So this isn't, it's a celebration, but it's also a time for us to pay it forward. So please do what you can. Those of you who dug in your pocket, maybe dig it just a little bit deeper. Another dollar, another $5 is not going to necessarily make or break you, but it could mean the difference for those who are benefiting from the work of Jericho. So think about that. I'm going to make my pledge. Now, you know, I work for a pretty poor nonprofit somewhere in here. I have a $20 bill. And I'm going to give $20. I'm going to give at least $1 for every year that Jericho has been around. I wish I could do more, but I think that I've got a brother who knows who's got a different idea.
No. You just heard Jihad speak.
That's right.
And we have to stop pity-patting about finances. And I'm going to use the words of Sister Professor Betty Davis when she asked for a contribution from a co-worker. And they said, well, I can't say anything because it's my job. And her answer was, you ain't got no job. The job was got by the people who are now behind the bars. So if you have an organization that's serious, let's get some dollars here. Now I'm going to call on Sister Betty for the Lynn Stewart organization. How much money are you going to pledge to this?
Lynn Stewart organization, on behalf of our sister Lynn, who transitioned March 7th, a year ago to this month, pledges $500.
All right, let's get started.
And I want to testify for Jericho because Ann Lamb never missed, Paulette, sing a moment, Paulette DeToole never missed a day standing beside Brother Ralph in front of the hot sun White House for the 4 years that he went before Obama and said, turn her loose. And never missed it. Paulette never missed a day. That's Jericho. Jericho is there when you need him the most, when you're by yourself. Okay? So someone that's there in the rain and 110 temperature, when you're by yourself, standing in front of that blackface on imperialism, white face Obama, you deserve to support that type of organization.
We got
okay? It's you vote for these politicians that take you for granted, you can give some money to Jericho.
We got $500, and we have 6. Let's see an organization that's for real. Stand up for political prisoners. We need some money here. All right, $400. Do we have any organizations that are ready to commit to political prisoners because you ain't got no job? they got it for you. Are they worth 400? Where are the organizations? 300. 200. All right, Gil. 200. Gil is there. 200. Any more 200? Any more 200? All right, I'm begging to the people who are the supporters of political prisoners.
$100, New York City Friends of Move.
Okay, $100 New York City Friends of Move. Let's keep it rolling. All right, Nellie Bailey.
$100 already submitted, just Nellie Bailey Organization.
Nellie Bailey Organization. Now let's keep it rolling. I see more. Wait a minute.
150 Estela Vasquez, community activist.
Say it again.
150 Estela Vasquez, community activist and rabble rouser.
All right. I see another one. Let's keep it rolling.
On behalf of the fully oppressed Puerto Rican community within the city of Newark, New Jersey, and in honor of Oscar López Rivera, we are committing $100.
Yes. $100. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. I know I'm looking like Jimmy Swaggart here.
Campaign, $200.
Pro-Legion God, $200. Let's keep it going. I see a hand.
Campaign to bring me home, $100.
Campaign to bring me home, $100. All righty, I see another one. Come on, let's not let it go. Come on. I see a hand. Stand up. Stand up. Shout it out.
What you got? There's somebody over there.
Let's hear it. Shout, okay, I see a hand. Come to me. Wait a minute. Over here.
Malcolm X commemoration committee, $100.
Malcolm X committee, $100. I didn't hear that. $100 Workers' Road Party.
$100, New Abolitionist Movement.
$100. You get this. You get this. Where? Let's hear it again. Hear it again one more time. All right, let's hear it again. Come on, stand. I can't hear it. Say it. I hear you. Let's keep it going. You got this? I need some more encouragement. I've been begging for 10 years.
$100 from the Haynes family.
Say it again.
$100 from the Haynes family.
Say it again.
Haynes family.
Come on. Say it again, young man.
Haynes family.
Haynes family. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Bring it out. Come on. All right. Stand up. Let's see it here.
All right, the Green Party's in the house.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's hear it.
$100 from Bronx Community Green.
All right, Bronx is in green.
Bronx Community Greens. All right. Let's keep it going. You keep it down.
Excuse me, at the end of this fundraiser, everyone who made a pledge will go up and give them their contact information.
All right. Let's keep it going.
All their checks. All their checks.
Let's hear it. Okay. Let's keep it going. Let's not. We're serious here.
All right,
We're serious. We're going to free our political prisoners.
$200 from Abolitionist Law Center.
Right on.
We're serious. Bring our brothers and sisters home. They brought us what little freedom we have. And if we can't bring them a little something, who are we? All right. We have no problem taking your money. We're not finished yet. we are a serious people. Let's, come on, all right?
$100, let my people go.
$100, let my people go. All right, one more. I want to sit out. One more. Another 100 from Razakon. All right. Okay, we are a serious people.
Now that's fundraising. That's what I call fundraising. That was exciting. Thank you all for coming to see me. Anybody who made a pledge, I did the best I could to write down, but let's get your contact information so that we can make these pledges a reality and help Jericho continue to do this important work. Yes. My brother.
Just because they died, everybody does that eventually. We call our people who have made significant contributions while they have been here on the planet. I always open with this poem. It's a poem for my Egun. For Pauline and James, Carrie and Linwood, Celestine and Herman. For nameless Egun, lost in the middle passage, strange fruit from Dixie's trees, memory whiplash into abandonment in the name of Jesus. You will never be forgotten. Pickers of tobacco and cotton, ditch diggers, gardeners, field hands and bricklayers, carpenters and dishwashers, waiters and chambermaids, hospital orderlies and workers with no unions, victims of 21st century slavery. For the homeless, the hungry, and the dispossessed, begging on subways, sleeping on sidewalks, chained and locked up. For new African freedom fighters locked down behind the wall, never to see the light of day. For the down-pressed with no redress. For the jelly and the grill. For the invisible ones. For the sons and daughters of Africa, Haiti, Cuba, Brazil, Puerto Rico, the Americas. In every port the slave ships landed, fear not. I chant this incantation for you. O Eshu, O Batala, O Shun, Ifa, Shango, Ogun, Oya, Yamoya, Eshu. Please carry insults, bitter cola, shea butter, and gin. We fling pennies into the wind. We pray this oppression will end. We come to take a stand and free the land. United and without fear, we come to take back what is ours. We come for the future. We won't forget the past. There's a trail of bones in the Atlantic deep. We come demanding retribution, for E5 never sleeps. E5 never sleeps. Never sleeps. don't know about this, so I go around and I talk about it. I try to let people know what's going on. This poem is called A Poem for the Absent-Minded. Some of the people that I mentioned in here are now free, either because we freed them or because the universe freed them, but they're free. And I'll be calling some of their names just so they'll be remembered, because this was written a minute ago. Just wanted to let you know. There's some rumbling in the air that says you just don't care, saying you just think we should forget about it. Living in a kills just selective amnesia, but I'm not trying to forget. Maybe that's why I was sent to jar your memory, hoping that the truth will set you free. After all, we weren't slaves before they brought us here, planting seeds of fear, using the Bible, the lash, and the gun, erasing the memory of where we've come from, flipping scripts so you won't know about Asa, Set, and Haru, the original Trinity, distorting us with his story instead of truth. That's why I remind your sojourner, Nanny and Nzinga, Ned and Shaka Zulu, Fannie Lou and Tumbantu, who said she freed 1,000 and would have freed 1,000 more if only they'd known they were slaves. Now they're turning in their graves, because in this modern day society, not much has changed, as we are food, chains removed from arms and legs but wrapped around your brain, in denial of the matrix. See, I remember civil rights. I remember when we stood up to fight. I remember Black Power and Black Panthers with shotguns on the courthouse steps. I remember Imamu Baraka and Simba Wachunga too. That's why I write these poems for you. I remember black fists held high. For each black man's eulogy, a pig would die. Violence as American as cherry pie. Quoting H-Rap Brown, a.k.a. Jamil Abdul Alamein, now in Supermax. I remember Watts and Newark too. BLA, Assata, New African freedom fighters who fought for me and you. I recall George and Jonathan Jackson. I write this poem for Fred Hampton, murdered while sleeping in his bed. Chicago pigs filled him full of lead. I remember Geronimo Pratt. Now let's get down to the bare facts. America is in denial that there are black freedom fighters here, but there are at least 69, and I'm not talking sex. There's plenty of reasons to be vexed. No telling who they'll lock up next. I'm not talking about your everyday criminal, but those who made a conscious choice to stand and vital, framed by the viciousness of COINTELPRO, chained up, locked down, never seeing daylight. Some in solitary confinement 40 years or more. No contact with the outside world, no human touch. Locked away longer than Mandela, locked away longer than those convicted of the laws called Rockefeller. I remember when Philadelphia's no good moved on John Africa and the Move family. See, a lot of you have forgotten about Mumia Abu Jamal, but he's only one of many standing tall behind the wall, like Oscar López Rivera and Rochelle McGee, Sekou Odinga, Russell Maroon Schultz and the Angola Three, Lynn Stewart, Mantulu Shakur, Jalil Muntaqim and Leonard Peltier, Herman Wallace and Abdulmumit, just some of the new African warriors captured that need to be free. So now you've been informed. Since you've heard some of the facts, I'm giving you the contacts. Here's what you can do. Contact the Jericho movement, 718-325-4407. Or go to JerichoNY.org. Free them all. Free them all. So we end up with this one. I could go on for a while, but you know how it is. I'm not the only person on this program. It ain't about me. But I think you'll like this. It's called Music for My Soldiers. There's a sister in the house, her name is Pam Africa. I know she's somewhere right here. She rolled up on me after a gig one time. And she said, I'm playing your CDs in the car. I'm rocking around from place to place. You know, speaking out from a beer, from Move. And just so happened I was putting the CD together, I was in the studio. So I rolled up in the studio the next day and I did this piece. It's called Music for My Soldiers. López, Rivera, and Robert Seth Hayes. This is music for my soldiers, yeah. Music for my soldiers. This is for those fighting a system that's rotten. I sing your name so you won't be forgotten. This is for the list that's too long to call. Music to make the walls of Jericho fall. This is music for the soldiers, yeah. Music for my soldiers. John Africa and the Move family. Deep, 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 deep. Skinny, bow, 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 bow. This is a song calling ancestors who fought the good fight from the break of day to the dark of night. Black Panthers, BLA, Deacons of Defense, RNA, Herman Ferguson, Sonny Abu Badika Carson, Malcolm X. This is for Lombe Brad and Carlos Cook, fighting for liberation by hook or crook. For Robert Williams, for Harriet Tubman, for Fred Hampton and little Bobby Hutton. This is music for nation dreams. My people united to take a stand. My people fighting to free the land. This is for all the soldiers. All power to the people. Finette Turner, Khalid Muhammad, Sekou Odinga and Dick Quick, Kwame Baraka, Matulu Shakur, G2 AOC, Sophia Bukhari, all my people in exile, for Pete O'Neill and Mama C, for the Jericho movement, for the Jericho movement, for the Jericho movement. Free them all. Free them all. Free them all. Music for my soldiers. Come on, let me hear it. For my soldiers. Music for my soldiers, yeah. Music for my soldiers. 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 Yes, it is right now. I have to say, I'm honored to be here to perform for all of you and for all of us, for all the political prisoners, and particularly honored that I could do this. And thanks for having me. Peace.
Okay, my brother Ori is going to come up because we are ready to move the program forward. Thank you so much, brother, for that wonderful musical presentation. While we're getting ourselves settled here, is there anybody who hasn't seen me that made a pledge? Okay, great. Anybody else? Raise your hand that I haven't spoken to that's made a pledge. Because we want to, okay, and Jaime? Great. Okay, no, not the basket went around, but those who made pledges. Oh, and there's, those who want to still give it to the basket. Excellent. I got my brother Ori here.
All right, so see my sister Gail again. If you haven't seen her with your pledges. And again, let's put our hands together for Brother Baba and Goma and that wonderful performance that he did. So we're moving this along, he's warming up. And I'm supposed to get first, we just want to announce the work continues. It's okay. Come out next Saturday, March 31st, a Freedom March for our sister Annabelle and Montez. We have to keep the pressure on to bring this sister home. All our New York people, join us tomorrow at 12 noon at the United Mission and for a 1 p.m. march to Times Square and a rally at Times Square from 2 to 4 p.m. in an efforts and our fight to bring our brother Mumia Abu Jamal and all political prisoners home. Lastly, I got it, Suzanne, I got it. Lastly, make sure April 30th, we pack the courthouse for Mumia. Pressure is on this system over Mumia, and we gotta keep at it so we can bring our brother home. Lastly, if you didn't grab one, make sure you grab this fabulous journal for the 20th anniversary of the Jericho movement. It has different articles from our political prisoners. You can see the tables in the back for one of these. All right, so we're gonna move it along because one of our speakers is going to be introduced in a minute. See our brother Gil Obla standing up there in the orange shirt? Where's Ben Ramos? All right, Ben is going to make an introduction. Ben, come on up.
I see a couple of scared faces. They're like, is he back up there asking us to give more money? No, I'm not, brothers and sisters. I want to start with a quote from our brother Oscar López Rivera. Agitation, organization, resistance, struggle, and love are the ingredients that will guarantee us victory. Brothers and sisters, I take you back to Tuesday, June 13th, 1995. I was an 18-year-old high school student sitting in the office of Richie Perez at CSS with a bunch of... I was sitting in Richie Perez's office, engaging in one of those political educations that Richie did right before we would have our police brutality meetings. He was talking about resistance and repression, COINTELPRO, and how the state used incarceration as a way to destabilize and destroy movements. He used a term I had never heard of before, political prisoner. The young revolutionary in me and the young journalist in me always knew that when you wanted to know something, you asked a who, what, when, where, why, how. Who were political prisoners? What were political prisoners? Why were there political prisoners? Richie took the time to break it down for all of us. Richie, always the organizer, gave us literature and said, tomorrow on Wednesday at 6:30, here, we're having a meeting of Pro Libertad. Come, ask your questions. Come and learn more about this Puerto Rican revolutionary history that you're not aware of. He talked about the arrests during the nationalist movement. He talked about the arrests of the Black Panthers and of young lords. He talked about arrests that took place in the 1980s of brothers and sisters from organizations that were called Los Macheteros and the FALN. I had never heard any of these concepts before. I went to the meeting the next day. I got inundated with information. I asked questions, came up with more questions, left there with other questions. But the one thing that I did leave there was with marching orders, which was that I had to continue doing this work. Esperanza Martel was the first person to give me a piece of literature and say, see all these names? See all these names? They have addresses. Write to the political prisoners. You have all these questions, ask them questions. So in June of 1995, I joined Pro Libertad. I started writing to the political prisoners and have continued to write to the political prisoners to this day. Brothers and sisters, in the 20-something years that I've been working with Pro Libertad, I've learned a lot, especially about Oscar. We know that the compañero was a community organizer. He fought for workers' rights. He fought to establish a high school in Chicago. He fought to establish social programs for Boricuas and other Latinos in Chicago. I learned that he, before becoming a political prisoner, fought for the freedom of the 5 Puerto Rican nationalists. I learned that when he was in Marion, Illinois, he was tortured. I learned that he was a victim of racism, of cruelty, of brutality within the walls. But at the same time, he became an artist. He became a mentor. He stayed an organizer. I learned that Oscar had a revolutionary spirit that could not be destroyed by this state. Could not be destroyed by capitalism, imperialism, and colonialism. I learned that in order to free Oscar and his co-defendants and any other political prisoners, I had to be as strong and as powerful, as indomitable as he was. Brothers and sisters, it's been 23 years. Personally, it's been 35 years for all of us. We agitated, we organized, we resisted. Oh, did we struggle? But we always kept that love with us. SP's always telling us, hay amor, there's love. We kept that love with us, and now we stand in this victory. Today, brothers and sisters, I introduce my brother, your brother, Oscar López Rivera.
to every single one of you with much love, with much respect, and with lots of gratitude. It is an honor to be here celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Jericho movement. It is interesting that many years ago, I was in prison with Jihad. Many years ago, I was in prison with Sekou. Many years ago, I was in prison with Raymond López. Many years ago, I was in prison with Brother Touré. I don't see, I hope I see him somewhere. Oh, yes. All right, my brother. And there were moments where we had doubts. I think that every single one of us had doubts about us coming out of prison. I saw Brother Jihad been sent home, packed in an airplane with FBI agents following home. And a few years later, the brother coming back to prison because the system itself did not want him out of prison. They knew who he was and what he represented then and what he represents now. I have celebrated a lot of moments when political prisoners have come out of prison. I celebrated the 10th of September 1979 when our 5 national heroes, 5 Puerto Rican national heroes were out of prison. I was on the ground. I could not welcome them home. I could not talk to them, but I celebrated that day. I celebrated every single time that a political prisoner has come home. And I hope, and I pray that there will be the day that I will still be alive when I can welcome home every single person, every single political prisoner who is in prison today. I hope that all of us will have the courage to continue fighting for their incarceration. We need them home. We need them now. But if we cannot get them today or tomorrow, let's keep on struggling, never giving up. Giving up is never an option for those of us who believe in freedom and justice. Never an option. We must keep in mind every single political prisoner. As long as there is a United States government as we have today, I am certain that there will be political prisoners. But the ones who are in prison right now, let's not allow them to end up dying in prison. That's also not an option as long as we can fight, as long as we can struggle for their freedom. What is the best way that we can get our political prisoners home? I believe that if we reach out to our communities, that if we talk to the people in our communities, that there's the possibility of bringing them home from prison. But as long as communities are not aware of the political prisoners, we run the risk of not allowing them to come home. We should be able to knock on doors. We should be able to talk to the people. We should be able to let them know the pain that they go through, the experiences that they have to go through every day. But if we talk to the people, most likely, they will definitely hear us, and they will definitely commit themselves to get them out of prison. One of the things that I must bring out about the Puerto Rican experience is that we have been able to get to our community, and we have been able to enjoy the support of the Puerto Rican people. I started in 1967 with the campaign of the Five, and we were told in 1967 that they were not coming home. And we worked in the communities, and we worked hard in the communities, that we would never give up on the community. And finally, in 1979, our 5 national heroes were in Puerto Rico. From 1979 until 1999, we fought, we struggled. In 1981, I was in prison already. But I knew that the work that had been done already in our communities would bear fruit someday. And in 1999, we saw some of the Puerto Rican political prisoners coming out of prison. Again, between 1999 and 2010, about 5 Puerto Rican political prisoners came home. And from 2010 to 2014, 2 more political prisoners came home. And then, in May of last year, I was finally out of prison and I was home. And on May 17th, during a press conference, I was dressed in black, and I made it abundantly clear that from that day until my last breath, I will fight for the freedom of the political prisoners. And I have not stepped anywhere where I've been, whether it was in Nicaragua, whether it was in Cuba, whether it was in Venezuela, whether it was in Sochi, Russia, where I spoke about the political prisoners in this country. Right now. Because this country denies the fact that there are political prisoners. And throughout the world, people don't know that there is such a thing as political prisoners in U.S. prisons, because this government is good at lying, this government is good at denying, and we cannot allow that to happen. So, I beg of you, of every one of us, from this day on, to do everything possible to make sure that every single political prisoner comes out of prison. Do it for love, do it for freedom, for justice, do it because we want a better and more just world. And as long as they're political prisoners, I don't think that this world can be just, and we cannot enjoy freedom, we cannot enjoy real life. So with that in mind, and with lots of love, I leave you tonight. Que viva Puerto Rico libre. Freedom for all political prisoners. There are 2 Puerto Rican women, Nina Dross and Ana Belén Montes, who are in prison, and we would like for everyone, we're not talking about those 2 Puerto Ricans, we're talking about every single political prisoner to come home. Thank you very much. Let's go forward. En resistencia y lucha siempre venceremos.
free all our political prisoners and prisoners of war. Next, we understand we have an awards presentation coming up. Okay, so we have, I believe, Ashanti and Jihad. They're going to do some presentations, and they're going to give out some awards on behalf of the Jericho movement. We're waiting for y'all. Free all political prisoners.
Power to the people, y'all. It's so good to look in there and see so many familiar faces. I'm gonna put my glasses on, which is a sign of elderhood. Listen, I'm hoping that this goes right. The awards, they're in order. It's really great. This turnout is great. Hey, don't be, not too much. I'm an elder now, okay? All right, the turnout is so great, and even for me, I've been out of New York for a long time, and man, to see so many faces. Again, to see so many faces. To see so many faces of people who I love, who have been doing this work for so long. It just lets me know that, you know, my moments of feeling in the dumps, I don't need to do that. I need to pull myself up. You know, there's so much work to be done. You have let Jericho know that it still has usefulness in our struggle to be free. We got to bring our folks home. And I'm not going to be long because in terms of the time, I want folks to come up as I call their names, but know that every person that comes up here, there are so many of you also are deserving of all kind of awards for just sticking into this, sticking with it, and all the ups and downs and the very few victories that we get. But we got to do it. What else can we be doing in this era? Let's bring our folks home and continue this struggle, because we got to win. So the first award I'm going to pull out, I have to help. Y'all already know that we're from Plainfield, New Jersey, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, you know about Parliament Funkadelic?
Yes, sir.
All right, the land of Parliament Funkadelic, Plainfield, New Jersey. First, hey, you know where Plainfield is at. First award goes to the Malcolm X Commemoration Committee for 22 years of annual tributes for the families of political prisoners. Dave, I'm hoping that you'll come up and accept this. And if folks could stay up, because we're hoping that if we get everybody up and folks want to take pictures, you know, and all that stuff. Thank you so much. The next award for appreciation and respect is to Sister Jill Sophia Elijah. For her work, dedication, and support of political prisoners. And contrary to the movie, I mean the criticism that movie might have to get that thing going, you know, when the folks come up, because these is warriors coming up here.
Okay.
The next award, appreciation and respect, goes to the Abolitionist Law Center of Pittsburgh. If you come up, let me see, is that Kristen? And if people know the work, a lot of the work we don't know that folks do, but even around the work in Pennsylvania, around our political prisoners there, their work is so critical and so key. Thank you so much. The next award, certificate for appreciation and respect, goes to Ralph Pointer. I don't know how Ralph does it. I'm at 64. I don't know what he's got me. But it makes me feel bad because he's still on the move. On the move. We appreciate him. The next award goes to Bonnie Caress for her work, dedication, support of people know of all the legal struggles she's had to go through in order to support political prisoners there. Her work is tremendous. Standish Willis, attorney, for his work, dedication, support of political prisoners. Standish traveled a long way to be here, and his work for political prisoners has been really great on the international level as well. Next award goes to the organization Critical Resistance. I'm not sure if anybody is here to accept, but their work, they're an abolitionist organization. There's one point where I was the Northeast Regional Representative, and they always tied in not only to abolish political prisoners, but how political prisoners relates to that. How this system, the prison system is one of the arms of this empire and keeping us down. Messiah, my comrade Messiah, Republic of New Africa, Black Liberation Army, Abolitionist Critical Resistance Assembly Award. Thank you. Jersey, New Jersey. Not Plainfield, but New Jersey. All right, the next award goes to the organization Malcolm X Grassroots Movement. I wish I could, because I am one of their elders. But I'm not going to do it. I got to get used to this, man. Okay. All right, the next award goes to Dr. Barbara C. Zeller. So much. As a doctor available to our political prisoners and health issues, tremendous. Oh, Susan?
Susan or Laura can accept her.
I didn't know Susan was here. Where's Susan?
Susan's right here.
Susan, can you accept?
Yes.
Susan Rosenberg, former political prisoner herself. And Eve Roshan is the next person, attorney, to an award for her, but I'm not also sure if anybody's here. Okay. Oh, Dr. Lannis Habash, also a doctor out of Massachusetts, heading a lot of the work in terms of the prisoners' health inside. She's not here also, but if Kazi is here, Kazi maybe can come up and accept the award for Dr. Habash. She is not only a doctor, but a staunch Palestinian independentista, if I may mix the words together. Again, because our political prisoners, they're getting older. You know, like, look at us, man. When there's critical conditions inside, she's the type of doctor that will step in there to organize folks to get in to see how our political prisoners are doing or demand that something be done. And we need that. All right, the next organization is the MOVE organization. Y'all probably don't know Pam, so I won't give her no introduction. Thank you for all the work that and the food as well. A lot of the support that MOVE has done for political prisoners, you know, goes beyond. People think they're just Mumia. They go way beyond. They got their own political prisoners, and they got the Puerto Rican political prisoners they support. The white the independent, the anti-imperialists, whose work is broad. And you see Pam. I mean, I don't know how she did another one too. I don't know where she gets the energy from, but we hope that she can maintain it, and that we join her in that work in all the ways that we can. All right, the next organization is the Anarchist Black Cross of America. Who's coming up with this? All right. accept the award for them? He may not be here. Daniel McGowan, if he is here, he's been at a table. Another one who, you know, in terms of, we hear about the Earth Liberation Movement, Animal Liberation Movements, and folks who have been to prison for them. Daniel was one of them who, like, at a time where those of us in the more nationalist movements was critical of some of their politics, like, yo, man, y'all deal with people of color issues? Daniel and a few others ones who stepped forward to see that happened, or that they worked on that kind of understanding as well, and realize that we're all in a struggle together, and that we're not going to privilege one like that. And so he went to prison, and when he went to prison, because I knew him personally, you know, I was so worried that, you know, he may not hold up, young white guy, going into major prisons, but he held up, did all kind of work amongst others inside, came out, and is still doing the work. He reminds me of Safia. Safia came out, still doing the work. Not a day goes by that you're not doing the work. So that's Daniel. All right, the next award to the organization Civil Liberties Defense Center. Let me see who's coming up for this. Adam. Adam, will you come up and accept the award for them? Are you here? Just gonna go by faster than I thought. All right, the next one is the International Leonard Peltier Defense Committee. Paulette is coming up. Okay, now also with Paulette, someone who is always on hand, never a dull moment with Paulette. Okay. And I have to listen to her because, you know, I won't say nothing. Okay, so anyhow, the thing that I want to say is that Leonard Peltier, he's another one that's been in there for like 40 years and 43 years. And when he calls, he'll call Paulette on the phone. Paulette could be on the other side of the world and like, Paulette, I need your help. And Paulette picks up and she goes. And she won't miss a beat with Jericho. But she knows that she can help with that because of her long history in the indigenous struggles, and in supporting that struggle and supporting the political prisoners in the work of trying to get them out. So like for her, you know, like this is really an honor to be able to give her an award for her for the tireless work that she does. The National Boricua Human Rights Network. Right? Honored to give this award. And coming up with this is Alejandro's coming up?
Yes, come on up.
Is he still coming up? Me and Kazi went to Chicago, you said 10 years ago, but I think it's been more than that maybe. I'm getting old. But we came up to see what work that they do on the ground. And you're talking about an organization that not only does political prisoner work, but they do it in a way that we all dream. It's extended into the Puerto Rican community and in solidarity with other communities. And we saw that and we were like amazed if we could all just get in our communities in that kind of way, how things could change overnight. So it's an honor also for you to come up and accept this award. Thank you. I have to laugh when I get this one because this is my general, and my general is named James Haskins.
Yes.
Though we know him as Tariq. Tariq, come on, he's coming up. Tariq is in the same underground. Black Liberation Army. We were captured in New Haven, Connecticut in 1974 during a bank expropriation. And when I used to do my talks and I say that, people found that to be quite funny, but we didn't rob no banks. You know, we expropriated monies for the struggle. And the reason I call him my general is because when we were captured, it was a Wild West shootout through the streets of New Haven. And we got held up in a house. And it was a shootout from us upstairs to the police downstairs. And I'm just like a young guy, but he's an experienced Vietnam veteran, all the other stuff. But like Geronimo Pratt, you turn them weapons against your enemies. You use them to build your struggles. I saw his courage and just the fire back and forth. Like, he ain't got no fear. I'm like, yo, man, I ain't stepping out there like that. But to see his courage and to know we could have died that same day, it gave me the courage to fight back, to fire back. And we did our time. We got out, and it wasn't, it was rough go, but also came out on the run, doing the work of getting the rest of the political prisoners out, going through the Black Panther Collective, trying to organize other young folks, and then back to getting the political prisoners out. He is nonstop. He's going to be nonstop, and he ain't going to stop until we win. I was going to say until it's over, but until we win.
Good evening. This award is being presented to Sophia Dawson, who is this generation's Emory Douglas. Those banners that you see around here that are on the columns, because she is painting our political prisoners into existence on the outside. And so Jericho is honoring her for that work. She's not here, but she's going to be really honored and surprised by this. So check out her website, Wet Paint, and support this young artist.
All right, this next one also, I don't know, this sister, I don't know. Pam Hannah? Yo, you, pay attention. Now, she claims to be the youngest out of the Black Panther Party. She said she was 14 years old. Me and Jihad was 16, but we're checking that out on an investigative tip. But anyhow, she really was, because all the folks that know her knew how young she was. And to know her comrade at the time, Kamal Siddiqui, and you should know who that person is, we was all so young. But can you imagine 14 years old? And then even after the destruction of the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army has to step forward and do his thing, and you got to do the work of not only underground, but support your comrades who get captured, or you got to go to the funerals, and then you got to raise your babies, and then you still got to do political prisoner work. This is Pam Hannah. And Pam also is the one who I hate to admit that I probably go to when I need wisdom in terms of how to live life. Whether it's relationships or other decisions I make. So it's an honor. She got a lot of mouth, which is typical of Panther women. There's another one there. It's an honor to give her this award. All right. Haji Mori Salah Khan of the Afia Foundation, Peace and Justice. This Muslim brother, who we learned through Jihad, it's just amazing on meeting someone with such a perspective on life, that he knows how to deal with political prisoners' issues, that never allows you to forget that it's a struggle to better the life that you're in. And he speaks to us so eloquently. It's really a pleasure to have him with us and to honor him for the work that he does. And we thank you so much. You heard him speak just moments ago. Oscar López Rivera. a hero to many. Just a little bit more on the relationship. When him and Jihad was in and Jihad gets out on parole, Jihad is in Newark. I'm already out. Me and Safi, we live in Washington Heights, Cheryl and others. And all of a sudden I'm going to my regular parole meeting. Jihad is in Newark, going to his regular parole meeting. But on this particular meeting, neither one of us know, we both get violated. And they send us back. Why? Because they want Oscar López Rivera, and they are convinced that we got something to do with getting him out. You know? So, yeah, well, you know, we don't know what that was. But anyhow, they brought me in because they knew we Panthers from teenage years, and they said, well, him and Jihad and Oscar did time together. Jihad. Oscar, Ashanti is his partner. Ashanti's in on it, violate both of them. But they showed me that they really wanted Jihad. They kept him. We had just did like 10 or more years in prison for the different expropriations. They kept him for another 12 or more years. Just because of that Black Liberation Army, Puerto Rican independence connection. Right? But they did not break it. That's right. They did not break it. So I think the significance of today is to get us all in the same room again. Right? To know that even after all these years, the connection is still on. Yes, sir. And the struggle is still on. Yes, sir. And so, you know, I'm sure that Oscar, you're going to get awards and stuff, but you got to know that your standing up through all of the years that you did means so much to us. The last person I want to call up is attorney, Comrade Bob Boyd. Okay. We've been knowing each other for decades now, a lot of us up here. We were younger. Our hair was darker. I got on them today about that. Some people had, no. Anyhow, Bob has been tireless in his legal work in defense of political prisoners. Whether it's been for Daruba bin Wahad or any of us that needed him. And he started off as, we all start off as so young. He started off as this young attorney. And you know, this is not a happy job. You don't have too many victories here. You know, when some of us got convicted, the lawyers was crying. And we like, yo, man, this is what it is. I'll see you later. But Bob has been there for us for any time we needed him. And he's the model of a kind of lawyer we want, people's lawyers, up and coming folks. Look at him. Look at him. And that's a lot of pressure on you. That's okay. Deal with it. But with him, we got somebody staunch in our corners fighting for us. And we honor you and we thank you for it. And I know a lot of us are concerned about Herman Bell. So I am going to ask you if you can say a little bit about Herman Bell, what's the deal, so that we can know.
Thank you. Can you hear me? I know my mic hasn't been working. First, I want to say I stand in the tradition of a lot of lawyers that came before me and legal workers. You know, Quisqueya Lumumba, Evelyn Williams, Bob Bloom, Quisqueya Lumumba, Lynn Stewart, of course, and Elizabeth M. Fink, the sorely missed Elizabeth M. Fink. So I accept this on their behalf. also tireless for the work of political prisoners. William M. Kunstler. Right here. Herman Bell. Okay, we had some good news. Almost a week and a half ago, 2 out of 3 commissioners voted to grant Herman parole and set a control date for his release. It's not necessarily a release date of April the 17th. Obviously, unless your head's been in the sand, there has been a horrific and racist backlash by right-wing forces, the patrolmen's, led by the Patrolmen's Benevolent Association. Bill
de Blasio.
I'll get there.
Okay.
Cuomo, de Blasio, and et al. There is probably going to be a move to rescind the decision of the parole board. We should know within, hopefully, the next week or so whether that will take place. I think that what people can best do is to do what's been sent out by Herman's committee, which is essentially to say to the commissioners and to Cuomo that they applied the law as it's written and they did the right thing. And that the law, under the law, they were supposed to release him. And they did that, and they should be commended for doing that. They need to hear from, because they're under attack, these commissioners, the entire parole board is under attack. So it's important that the community tell them that they did the right thing, and that we have their back in this. They're parole commissioners and all of that, but they did the right thing here. We have to show that we have their back so that Herman Bell gets home. Because it not only applies to Herman Bell, it applies to the other political prisoners in New York who are kind of come up to the board, but also it applies to every other prisoner who has been denied parole. Under the old guidelines. And there's been a move in the past few years to loosen some of that in the parole board here in New York State. And wonderful work by the Release Aging People in Prison organization, which has pushed all of that and pushed the efforts at parole reform. So if they get away with Herman Bell, it affects everyone. So speak to everyone you know who has a loved one inside or a friend inside and get them to support this. I also want to, in closing, to thank, General Laura Whitehorn for her efforts in Stand Up Laura in getting this decision around Herman, there's Laura. Thank you. This has been an honor.
And we should
If people want to get pictures, maybe we can, y'all can just come right across here and so that people can take a picture of it together.
Thank you, Jericho.
Ghost. Author is Jason Reynolds. Hello? All right, all right. We've got a little bit more of the program. We're going to ask people to please just try to settle in. Has anybody misplaced a book entitled Ghost? It's left downstairs. Okay. Without further ado, Ori.
Everybody, program's continuing on. So we're gonna have some more culture right now. Where are our sisters from the Mahina movement at? Are they here? Are y'all ready? Y'all need anything in terms of sound? Got it, Carlito? Put your hands together for our sisters from the Mahina movement.
Asada declared, "It is our duty to fight for our freedom." What did she say? What must we do? That's right.
A very quick announcement that I know the program is kind of going long. There's a lot of really important, aspects of the program that are still going on. And we don't want you to leave. Please don't leave. This is an historic occasion. However, I'm just nervous to say this. However, I think what we're going to try to do, because we want to honor Oscar, and we know it's been a long day and it's going to be a long night, that there might be an opportunity to set up a table in the back for folks who wanted to get a signed copy of your book. We don't want you to leave. We don't want to distract from the Mahina movement and the rest of the program. But I wanted to let folks know that we're going to try to do both. So you can sort of respect what's going on in the front of the room while we also honor Oscar by providing a space. Frank Belgar. Frank Belgar. How much time we got? Frankie. Okay. It'll be in the back.
to lose but our chains. It's our duty to fight for our freedom. We must love and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. It's our duty to fight for our freedom. We must love and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Inspired by Pam Africa in 2001, diabolical motherfuckers, slick ass deceivers, taking us for suckers, telling us lies like 40 acres and a mule. Meanwhile, we're still crying reparations. Hateful, greedy people take all of our land and then they call us evil, 'cause we defy those things that they do. I think that it's time for revolution. Do you remember when you chose to be free? Can you recall your awakening? Or does it seem to you now just like a dream? Do you still believe? Whatever happens to the wind, how does it blow and blow again and make a shadow on the sand? I know we chop, chop, chop for aristocracy, so when they fall, they want to take all, but now the world won't play with how they play ball. But wait, now they want to regulate, but the regulator's going to regulate away too late. So a new world must unfold by us who begun and spun that gold. This universe, we dreamt ourselves into this world. Come on now, we dreamt ourselves into this land. We can dream ourselves into freedom. What can we do? Dream ourselves into freedom. One more time. Dream ourselves into freedom. Freedom. Wow. Mahina movement. What? Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, family. We're going to move on. We're going to ask our sister. I know there's a lot of activity going on in the room, but again, the acoustics make it really difficult for folk to hear the people in the front of the room. So if you can keep the side chatter to a minimum, please. Hello? All right, we're going to now ask our sister Pam Africa. This is a sister who needs no introduction, and it is our honor to hear from Sister Pam.
generations. You saw Mike in Jericho 20 years ago. He had a song where he said he's perfecting his seed. Well, he went on to do it. These are soldiers, frontline soldiers from the breast up, okay? From the breast out? From the breast up, right. And I just want to say thank you, but I do want to make a couple announcements. On the 30th of March, am I right, Ralph? On the 30th of March, please get the flyers to be here for Lynn. Lynn did the battle for WBAI. We lose WBAI, we lose a part of our souls. We can never allow them to take WBAI from us. So I'm asking people to please get this, sign the flyers, and be here on the 30th of March. Tomorrow, put your marching boots on. We're going to let this system know that we are still here in the battle for Mumia and political prisoners. I want to say one other thing before I forget it. Joe Friendly over here has the press conference, the magnificent press conference that we all need to see of what went down in dealing with Herman Bell. What it is that we all must learn to say in order to put these motherfuckers well, they sung it, but to put them on notice. And I was at that press conference. I was fortunate enough. Anybody see Therese and Sharon Schultz? Yes. And them two little warriors, we can never forget them. And but where was I at? CRS. Can't remember shit. But I know I got a lot of things I gotta say. And I'm trying to do it in 10 minutes or less. I want to do less. And but them two little Schultz sisters, them little warrior women, they go and do the damn wherever it's at for their father and for political prisoners and for people in the neighborhood. That little Sharon Schultz, she brings in children. And I'm saying she's what Panthers. And they have a legacy in this little sister and them Schultz family, and they can't be ignored. And we got Rachel Rokenstein over here, Suzanne, and where's Johanna? Yeah, and people, and you know who've been on this front line, stayed on this front line for Mumia, Ralph, Betty. They don't get tired of us coming up to their house and getting mentored by them. And so I'm saying, in order for us to have this revolution, we must understand we don't know it all. Every day is a learning experience, and we have people in this room, was mother, father, brother Jihad, whatever, spoke. Jihad. When he spoke, that was love and understanding that we must have. We must take, and see, I don't take it as him talking down to us or whipping our behinds. That is love and understanding of what we must do. We must take this whole thing serious. I'm saying John Africa had made us take it serious, and each and every last child, from the movement and move is on the move. I'm saying they've never been taught in these schools. Their teachers is John Africa. Their teachers is everybody out here that resists these motherfuckers and know that we must bury them in the toxic soil that they put forth. On the move, long live revolution, long live John Africa, long live all those that resist this capitalist and understand that it's the corporations, and that president ain't nothing but a pawn. The DAs all make nothing but pawns for corporations. We must go after them corporations. Those the motherfuckers we gotta fight. Those the ones that got us in jail. Those the people that lock and slave
Discipline, folks. Discipline. You don't have anything more important than mumia. Let's quiet it over there. Quiet it on the side. Hold it over there. Let's get quiet. Discipline.
In the long, dark night of love, people turn the light stars into freedom songs, which were later called equal spirituals, such as this example. Joshua did the Bible, Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua, the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. For African captives, largely illiterate, this song was a powerful prayer for black liberation that echoed down the corridors of history. In the mid-20th century, as young black folks joined the black liberation, the name Jericho retained its aura of freedom. For 20 years now, Jericho, once led by the remarkable revolutionary son Fulkari, has been fighting for the freedom of black revolutionaries, veterans of the Black Panther Party, the Black Christian Army, and other revolutionary formations. Fulkari herself, a veteran leader in the Black Panther Party, a combatant in the Black Liberation Army, and the vice president in the Republic of Africa, fought long and hard for freedom, political prisoners, and prisoners of war. It was said that she did the work of 10 people, and for those who knew Safia, surely this was an understatement. Safia remembered and loved for her courage, hard work, and dedication to black freedom. It's no more, but Jericho is still with us. And Jericho, the movement, is doing today what black captives have done for centuries: fight for freedom. The voices of chained African captives echo throughout time in sweet, tragic song, longing for freedom still. Joshua, the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. From imprisoned nation, this is Mumia Abu Jamal.
Wrapping this up soon. Where's our brother at? We talk about political prisoners and the families and the things. This brother here was born in prison. 1 month after his mother and father was arrested, he was born in a jail cell, only with his mother for the first 3 days of his life. After that, he's only been with his mother on prison visits. One of the children of the Move 9, Mike Africa Jr.
On the move! All right, I see folks are scattering, so I'm gonna make this quick. Like Ori said, my mother is a political prisoner, one of the Move 9. My father is also a political prisoner, also one of the Move 9. We've been fighting to get them home ever since they've been in there. This year marks 40 years of our people being in prison. We're working on a lot of different programs throughout the year to try to bring about awareness and make this year, 40-year anniversary, a big event so that we can have as many people and many eyes on the situation as possible. Throughout this time that we're doing these programs, we're not forgetting about all the other people that are also suffering at the hands of the system. And so this April 14th, we're doing a show called One Heartbeat, and the purpose of it is to bring awareness and shine some light on what's happening in Puerto Rico.
That's right.
What's happening in Puerto Rico, what the mayor said is can be classified as nothing other than genocide. There's a lot of people that's still without electricity. There's a lot of people still without water. There's a lot of people still without adequate food. So we're trying to bring that kind of awareness, that kind of attention needs to be shined on Puerto Rico. And so we're doing this show to bring that about them and about the Move 9 as well. So we have flyers to let people know about that over at the table. If people want more information about that, they can get it at the table. You know, we just need to keep this event is very powerful. When I saw Safia on the screen, Safia told me one time, she said, I will be your mother until your mother comes home. And when I saw her on the screen, right, I thought about that day, and I mean, I don't remember exactly everything, but I remember being there, and I remember her wanting me to be on the stage with her. And I remember feeling so inadequate standing next to her on the stage. And when Herman Ferguson told me, he said, come on up and represent your family, and it was just a really powerful moment for me. And I wanted to make it clear, you know, when we deal with these movements, it's important to never forget about the kids. It's important to realize that when people become political prisoners, oftentimes they have children. As we be involved in these movements, we can never put our kids on the back burner and act like something else is more important. Because if we're not doing it for the children, then who are we doing it for? And so as we do this stuff and be involved in this stuff, these children are the most important reason to do it in the first place. And I was talking to Quisqueya, and I was talking to Asada's daughter, and I was talking to Maroon's kids, and like all of these people have developed this understanding and this wisdom from all these bad experiences from being separated from our people. And it's important to, you know, keep the wisdom flowing, because there are ways to not become political prisoners but still be political. And there are also ways to fight the battles different ways, but you also must do all the other stuff too. But when involved in all of this, keep the kids very close to your mind so that you never lose sight of them, because we have suffered as a result of this system. This system do not care about the children, as explained and seen with the stuff that's happening in Florida, and how 500,000 people got to go to DC to get these people to say stop selling so many guns. It's an example that these people do not care about us. So I ain't gonna keep this thing going too long, but I just want to thank everybody, and Paulette, and everybody who put this thing together, and everybody who was involved in the first Jericho. And with that, I'm gonna say, on the move, long live revolution, long live Jihad Africa.
All right, we're coming to a close. We're coming to a close. We just want to ask the people on the side of the room to please keep the volume down. There's a very important message that our brother Frank Valgara wants to share. And Aisha Muhammad from the West Coast Jericho is here as well.
As you can see, we need somebody to lower this microphone a bit.
There you go, Frank.
First, let me say, on a move, long live John Africa. We received a statement from one of the political prisoners of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, from behind the walls, and I have the privilege of reading it because I also come from an occupied country, Puerto Rico, And the brother says, "Dear activists and organizers of the Jericho movement, from the Zionist prisons we send our warmest and most heartfelt greetings of solidarity across the miles to your gathering, and to the imprisoned brothers and sisters in the United States imperialist jails who continue to be denied their freedom through long years of struggle. We raise our fists of solidarity to salute the Black liberation organizers and other political prisoners who continue to struggle today in the belly of the beast. From Ansar to Africa to Attica, the prison has been used by the colonizer and the oppressor to try to break our will. But these names resonate throughout time because here the oppressed have risen to confront their oppressor. Whether in Palestine, the United States, the Philippines, Turkey, or anywhere in the world, political prisoners are not individuals only. Instead, they are organizers and leaders of our entire movements that face a never-ending struggle to break down the walls and chains that seek to divide us from our people. Torture, isolation, and solitary confinement are some of the means of the jailer and the occupier to break our will. And yet, resistance continues. To defend political prisoners, to struggle for their freedom, and to be part of the causes for which they are imprisoned is to defend the resistance itself. The right of the oppressed people to defend themselves is always under the fiercest and most violent attack from the forces of capitalism, Zionism, and imperialism. They are represented by their police and military forces. They label us terrorists and criminals. But it is clear that the perpetrators of the most massive crimes and acts of terror against humanity are those who oversee the prisons and the entire systems of injustice that continue to oppress and exploit our people. Political imprisonment attempts to make us invisible. The work of the Jericho movement helps to make our voices visible and clear, rejecting all of the attempts of the jailers and oppressors to silence us and isolate us from the people. However, despite all those efforts and all their force, political prisoners continue to be leaders in the struggle against racism, imperialism, and colonialism. We know that the prisoners of the Palestine struggles also face imprisonment around the world, from the Holy Land 5 in the U.S. prisons to George's Abdullah in French prisons for 34 years. Even here in Palestine, where we often confront the same technologies, the same weapons, and the same corporations that they do, from GA-7 tear gas shipped from the streets of Black communities to the alleyways of refugee camps, we know that in the United States, imprisonment is a source of profit and coerced labor that threatens communities and peoples under attack and possesses a particular threat to Black children and communities. Israel or France or the United States would free us of Georges Abdullah or Mami Abu Jamal if we were willing to become the tools of the system and betray our people. But instead, the prisons have generated striking examples of a culture of resistance, from art to literature to political ideas. Political prisoners are jailed because the ruling class, the imperialists, fear our actions and our ideas. They fear our power to mobilize our peoples in a revolutionary way. They fear that if we come together, that we will build an international front for the liberation of oppressed peoples. They know They know and deeply fear that we can truly build an alternative world. For them, this is the terror of defeat. But for us and for our peoples, this is the hopes of freedom and the promise of victory. Ahmad Sadat, Ramon Prison, the 21st of March, 2018. Thank you, sisters and brothers. We have greetings from the political leadership of the revolutionary forces of the Dominican Republic. They sent a statement, but their representatives here with us today, given the length of the program, have asked us just to send their greetings to the Jericho movement and to know that they support the efforts to free all political prisoners and prisoners of conscience in the United States. La fuerza de la Revolución Dominicana y su liderato extienden un abrazo de solidaridad al movimiento Jericho en la ocasión de su 20 aniversario, reconociendo su labor a favor de la excarcelación de todos los presos políticos y de conciencia en Estados Unidos. Freedom all. Libertad para todos los presos políticos. Fuese la Revolución Dominicana. Gracias.
Thank you, Frankie. All right. We are going to ask our brother Jihad to come forward to close out the evening, this historic 20th anniversary of Jericho. And as he is making his way up front, I want to just say that we were blessed to hear earlier tonight by phone from Sundiata Akoli, who sends his revolutionary greetings and his commitment to continue to stand with us as we all continue to fight to free all political prisoners. Brother Jihad, is Brother Jihad still with us? All right. As he's making his way forward, we'll just say that this has really been an historic event. I know I've learned a lot. I feel blessed to have been in the room with some of the really incredible soldiers who have really fought the good fight and continue to fight the good fight. So I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to be here this evening with all of you and to learn more about the work, the incredibly important work of the Jericho movement. And Jihad is outside and he's making his way in. No? All right.
He's coming right in. I just talked to him on the phone.
It would not be appropriate, I think, to end the evening without hearing from our national co-chair. So if we can just give a few moments.
Had a meeting with some people outside.
Here he comes. Brother Jihad. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. Come on. All right. I was just saying we couldn't end this evening without hearing from you. So thank you so much. All right, brother.
Yeah. Greetings again, everybody. Just waiting with one of the attorneys for their cab to come outside. Can you? All right, really, no, this is excellent. So this is excellent. So just in closing, just a couple of remarks about the reflection. There's a lot of us left. It's been a long evening, but a very powerful evening. Definitely want to thank everyone who's traveled the distance, who's walked the block, for all the work that we've been doing. This has indeed been a historical occasion, the 20th anniversary of the National Jericho movement. We want to really give so much thanks and gratitude to Reverend Barrios for use. But this is what the church is about. Historically, this is what it's about. It is definitely proven to be the case today. So just remember the commitment that we made. Our freedom fighters are getting older and languishing in prison. But it's all about building a new society by supporting those that have given their life and sacrifice to get to where we are today. As Oscar said, it's our obligation. There is no other option. So in our own capacity, some of us are older than others. Some of us have more resources than others. But we all have the resolve. So whatever it is, in your own capacity, in your own circles, in your own families, in your own life, even if it's just a conversation at work, to change somebody's thinking, to educate, to put some perspective on something that may be happening in the news, that you'll step up to the plate and do just that much more. Because we all are a community. And it was going to definitely take a community to get our liberation. As Jalil Muttaqeen said, we are what? We are our own liberators. With that, I would like to get a quiet moment of reflection and silence for one moment, please. And for some of us, that moment of silence has been 46 years. Free all political prisoners. Assalamu alaikum.
I'm going to share this, but I think This is a children's book about Chicago, where Oscar is from. All the literature here is about Oscar López Rivera, who's going to be speaking. So, ¿te gusta el trabajo que tiene?
Yes, I do, pero ahí adentro hay gente que yo les digo, cerca de
Oh, Red Fawn? Okay.
We tried to reach her one-on-one. We only did a Facebook. And they said,
I'll have Allison get on.
such a nice language way. Do you need me to give you any info, or do you have all my info?
I think I do. If not, I'll call you so we can chat.
That'd be fun.
Right, he just got back in the country, so yeah.
Oh, that might